fun.
Yeah, all right, just remember, I like bling.
Oh, I know you do. What, you have a 69 Corvette there? Sure is. Unbolt the body off the frame and build a whole new chassis, new suspension. We gotta weight this thing up. Oh, I'm caught on something. About 420 horsepower. This thing's a huge improvement. I think it's gonna be cool as hell when it's finished. What did you do to my car?
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
You know, 20-something years ago, I never shop business. It just kind of evolved into what it is, and I definitely never thought I'd have a cool sound like that. I mean, that's impressive.
Now we know where we got to go to work at.
You know, I can't say enough about my team, my guys. You know, we're all a big family. I can't say anything else, but I've been totally blessed.
What do you guys think? Pretty cool, huh? You know, things have been going really good at the shop. This is just a sign of that. I feel like my business is actually legitimized now. You get an actual sign up on the building.
You know, it's crazy to think, growing up on this property, I never, ever thought it would ever become what it is. You know, coming from where I come from, I come to work with a mindset, this can all go away. You know, we gotta stay hungry. We've been super busy, busier than ever. All these builds coming into the shop, every one of them is an opportunity to push our creativity even more. Big John said he might be in the neighborhood today, so he's just stopping by to check on progress.
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
What's happening, John?
Same old, same old. How's everything?
Going good. How's that old milk truck doing?
Wonderful. I mean, it looks great. Runs good.
Good,
Family
man. That's
love.
always good to hear.
Wow.
Things transformed a little bit from when it came in.
It looks totally different.
John's 1950 Ford F5 came in rough shape. It's taken months of work to get it to this point. It's just one of the coolest COEs you can find anywhere. You know, COEs have gotten pretty popular lately in the custom scene. The COE means cab over engine, which the engine sits way back and it has a short snub nose and sits up a little higher than, you know, a regular one-ton truck. As far as the interior, we got the dash all smoothed out. You know, it had a bunch of holes in the dash and a bunch of crap everywhere.
Fantastic.
John's had just about every kind of custom car, and he really is drawn to the COEs because they're totally different. He bought this truck online. Someone grafted another set of front doors onto the back. Then we picked it up from there. New latches on it, new door handles.
It's going to be beautiful.
You know, once we get the front end back on, we'll build you some running boards that tie right back into the bed, bolt right up. You see, we already got the basic shape and style here, but we're going to build a headache rack that goes over it and then molds into the bed also.
All right, just remember, I like bling. You know.
Oh, I know you do. And what color are you thinking on this? I know you have a color preference.
Wife and I, we've been leaning towards an orange.
Just a bright orange?
Bright orange. No, nobody else has a 1950 crew cab like mine. When I see what he's done so far in the mid-build, I'm really getting excited to see the finished product.
And we got a little surprise for you back here. Well, we're going to keep that a surprise, too.
I knew you'd do that. We're there with it. I know Bill's going to do a fantastic job on it. He's got some surprises for me. And he didn't let me down on the milk truck. I don't expect him to let me down on this one. I'm going to let you get after it. See you later. Take care. See you later.
Good to see you, John.
Bye-bye.
Really cool part about having a custom shop is getting to let your creativity shine. When long projects like this, where you're doing body work all day, you're doing metal work all day, I hate it. I'm an instant gratification guy. I want to see progress every day.
We've done a ton of work to this to get to this stage. This is really starting to where it gets fun, but you know, the work isn't over. The work's just starting on a different level. That all is part of the puzzle along the way. Getting to the end of the puzzle is a big Man, no, Big John seemed like he was pretty happy about the bed when he stopped by.
Man, I saw you over here talking. He looked overall happy with the whole truck.
Yeah, he loves it.
Gentlemen, here we are again.
You already know this thing's been here a while. It's been a long road to get this thing to where it was at. You know, it was old rat rod style, just nothing fit, nothing lined up.
50% done?
Just about that. Once it's in this stage, man, I really think we're on the downhill slope for sure. We're going to build a cool custom headache rack to fit the side of the cab to make it fit this truck. I want to incorporate a wood bed on top of this, but not just sitting on top. I want it recessed down into the bed. And I want to bring that wood down on the running boards also.
Man, that'll be a cool touch.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody do that.
Plus, it makes it look like it all goes with the truck. It all ties
Flows through. So anything else you're thinking?
You know, Big John told me he's got to have the bling, so he wants chrome accents everywhere. Chrome grill, chrome bumpers, chrome mirrors, chrome handles. You know, with a nice bright orange, this thing is going to be really cool and stand out.
You want everything bright, shiny?
Absolutely. Okay. So we definitely... We're going with a Western holler look. A real clean flatbed with a little something extra. It's time to get John busy on this metal work.
So, man.
Ready to get going on this thing?
Yes, sir.
Now's the fun part. Now we can really start to get creative with this thing and show what we can do.
So I get to have all the fun?
Yeah. What I want to do is incorporate, you know, like bed wood in a flatbed. And I also want you to start building the running boards on this. And I want wood inset in the running boards too. So you can actually use it. You can step on it and not have to worry about messing the paint up. I think bringing the color of the wood as a contrast to the bright orange paint that's going to be on here, this thing is really going to stand out. Be a huge surprise for him.
So we're going to have to use nothing but the finest orange tree wood.
We're leaving it up to you, buddy.
It's time to get to work. So we're going to start making this running board here. So what I'm going to do first is cut me out a piece of square tubing for this outside edge and then start cutting out everything else I need to bolt that to the cab, bolt onto the fender, bolt onto the bed so it's removable. What I want this to do is fit real snug up against here. Just almost perfect, and then hit it with a grinder to make it perfect. This is it. This is going to be the perfect fit. The design we're going with on the running board is going to kind of represent the shape of the bed. We're going to have some nice sharp corners in its design. So once this is all tacked up in place, I'll break these bars off and you'll be able to see what I've created on this outside edge. So the purpose of these marks that I'm making is just a reference of where I need to bend it. I'll hit it on the opposite side of that mark, which will bend it the way that I need it to hug this fender tightly. This fender likes tight hugs, in case you're wondering. Now we gotta poke some holes. Now I got the structure of the running board. I'm gonna throw some ribs in here to connect the outside to the inside where it's gonna be bolted up to the cab and start building the frame for the wood inserts.
What's that?
So, we're gonna have to take a little tamale break. We'll be back to you shortly.
On the bed of this COE, I want the design to flow from the front, seamless wood inlay.
Now I got the running board drawn out. Now I know exactly how to shape the wood inserts that are gonna get cut out on the CNC table. After we cut our blanks out of MDF just to build off of, we use cheap MDF. That way there's no worries if it gets burnt and messed up. We could go back and cut the hardwood out with the same file and it'll be the exact same dimensions. And all we have to do is drop those in for final assembly. Let's see what we got here. Nice. I'm gonna start making all the metal trim that goes around here.
what we're about to do is cut out some 18 gauge sheet metal. And then we're gonna cut down some strips about 1 inch wide, break it right in the middle and make 90-degree angles. And what I'm gonna do is form that to fit around those wood templates that we got. So we can set that into the running board. And what this is gonna be is just a big frame for the wood. This is gonna look really nice.
You know, one of the cool parts about being this busy, we get the chance to really work on some iconic rides. You know, some of them we never even had a chance to work on before. And putting our spin on them for the... Hey, what's happening?
Hey, how you doing? Josh, just driving in from Austin. Nice to meet you, Bill.
Nice to meet you.
Tim. Hey, Tim, nice to meet you.
What do you have, a 69 Corvette there?
Sure is.
Well, let's check it out.
All right.
The 69 Stingray was part of the third generation of Corvettes. At the time, it was the height of American muscle. Man, it's a good-looking car.
Thanks.
And these little Stingrays are always going to be classic. Just the body lines, the way everything looks, they're just an iconic car.
Yeah, I got that ducktail rear end.
They're timeless. Like, you can have them another 50 years and they'll still be in style.
Yeah, this was a classic year.
Josh, what are you seeing, man? You want to change the color on this thing, or?
No, I like the color. I think it's got a pretty good paint job. But being from Austin, you know, just all the hills and stuff, it needs to drive better.
Definitely.
Man, this car is really special to me. I got it from a friend, and, you know, it looks great. The car just stops traffic. If it drove as good as it looks, that would be my dream.
Heck yeah. So keep the original look, just with a lot of performance.
Perfect. That's exactly what I want.
Josh, I think to make this thing really, really cool, handle good, ride good, we just need to unbolt the body off the frame and just start over. Build a whole new chassis, new suspension, and make this thing really exciting to drive.
You can do that?
Hell yeah.
That would be fantastic.
And the side pipe
Look, yeah.
I mean, it looks great, but man, they're a little tired. I think maybe even making these things out of stainless, polish them up, just be a total package then.
Boy, I wasn't really thinking about that when I rolled up, but now that you mention it, man, that just makes the picture perfect.
Josh, what we got under the hood?
Let me show you. You can see it's just a stock 350.
Out of the factory, the 69 Stingray with its fiberglass body and its small block made it top of the line. However, these days we can do a lot better. Man, Josh, with the brand new frame, new suspension, we need something with a lot more power. I'm thinking LS in this thing and really wake it up.
Man, if you're going to do all that, it's going to need a 6-speed in it.
Yeah.
You put a 6-speed in this car being so light, it's just going to be fun to drive.
Man, that'd be a 1-2 punch. Man, this thing, you're going to be able to just get in it, turn the key, and go all the way to California if you want to. All that power in Austin, up and down those hills. Man, am I excited.
And the inside looks good. Just the only thing you need is a stereo in this thing. Something with a nice sound in it.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it wide open to you. I know y'all come up with something.
Josh, if that sounds good, man, let's get this thing unloaded and get going. Let's make it happen.
All right, Bill.
Nice to meet you, Josh.
Thanks, Tim.
Yes, sir.
Some years on it. This thing still has great styling. It looks really good, in great shape. You know, this old vet like this is always going to be just timeless. The body itself it's a work of art. In the 60s, you know, this thing was top of the line. You know, everybody talks about how much power they had, how well it handled. You know, that's all you hear growing up. To today's standards, you know, a family sedan is outperforming this thing right off the assembly line. And, you know, that's sad.
Hey, go ahead and top it off for me when you're done.
This guy. Look good in there, Rudy.
Like my new car?
Whole lot better than them glasses.
What are you talking about? You guys don't know anything about style.
Well, what does have style is a 1969 Corvette, right?
Oh, yeah.
What isn't stylish is the suspension under this thing.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that.
We gotta wake this thing up. We're gonna start by lifting this thing up, unbolting the chassis, dropping it down, and rolling it out, and starting fresh. We'll get some metal off the shelf and just start building a new frame for this thing. We're hand making a better performance. We gotta be super careful with this fiberglass shell, or it'll create a ton of structural issues. A 20-inch wheel and tire with some meat on the back of this thing.
Something to put the power to the ground.
That's it. New independent front suspension, front and rear. New engine, manual transmission.
We're just gonna rip out everything old on this thing and give it a new extensive style.
That's it. We're gonna keep the body of this thing. I mean, look at it, it's in great shape. I mean, it's showing some wear though.
Yeah.
We're gonna wet sand and buff it and just make it look like it would have looked in 1969.
It's gonna look good.
Well, let's get this thing up on the lift. Let's get going on and get it tore down. Start building this thing. Don't forget your safety glasses.
Man, go ahead and take them off so y'all stop ridiculing me on me. My cool glasses. Put it back, baby. Yo, Tim!
I'm coming. The fiberglass body is already fragile. With this 50-year-old fiberglass body, we got to be super careful.
All right, got it.
When you're tearing apart a chassis on a metal body, no problem. Shape this, hammer that, make it work. Totally different with the fiberglass body. You got to work with what's there. There's no shaping this. There's no reconstructing without causing yourself a whole lot of issues later. With the whole frame, might leave this. That'll hold the radiator in the whole spot and everything.
Yeah, I'll just take this right off.
And Rudy, that bolt's never coming out. Between the fiberglass and all these bolts, a lot of people would think twice before tearing this chassis out. However, that's not to say it doesn't need replacing.
Most of these bolts were weathered and rusted together. So if this car would have been metal, it'd probably be rusted through. What do you think?
Let's find out.
Here, go up. Whoa!
I'm caught on something.
I have Tim and Rudy pulling out the chassis of the 1969 Stingray so we can build one custom. As usual around here, it's easier said than done.
A lot of these bolts have nuts on the backside of them, which are tucked in behind little small crevices. Oh, right here for the body mount in the back. And if you look in here, there's one more bolt here for the body. I mean, look at that. Once you take that lid off, come to find out this car used to actually be yellow. The secrets you find tearing these cars apart.
Corvettes, just one thing after another. You never would have thought it had taken this long just to find all the bolts, but we're going to get this body separated here in about 5 minutes.
Ready? Ready. Keep on. We're good. Let's do it.
All right.
Ready to roll this thing out?
Gladly.
Check it out, Tim.
It looks really good, Rudy.
Make sure it don't hit the ground. Perfect.
One of the first steps in the whole frame building process is finding out where everything goes. We make most of our custom chassis on a table before we install them. You know, there's not a lot of room underneath this fiberglass body, so we got doing something we don't normally do. We're going to build the chassis right to the body. You know, that way it's going to fit 100% on the first try. So the first thing's finding center of the fender well for the wheel and spindle.
Okay, we need to go back just a hair.
This way?
Yeah.
There's a lot of adjusting, a lot of tweaking, a lot of moving to find that sweet spot. Man, I like how that looks on this car. Everything is exactly in line, both directions. We know exactly how much room we have to build the frame around. So next step is to get started.
We got some 2x4 tubing. We're going to run down both sides, connect it across the back, then we'll build the rear subframe off of that.
Go ahead, just plasma it out real quick.
So we're going to plasma out the tubing so the DOM can slide in here. We'll cut a little bigger so we'll have room to play. That's what's going to connect the body to the frame rails.
This will go to the bottom of the car. The bolts will go through and hold it tight.
We drop the frame, we'll weld the tops all the way around. This is going to be our 4-link mount. This is what's going to connect the rear subframe to the main frame of the car. Now the structure of the 4-link mount is made. This is the rear subframe. This will be the main frame. Once the whole frame welded out, this frame's gonna be extra strong and be perfect for what Josh wants to do in the hills of just, and see what he can do.
I bet your favorite teacher was an arts and crafts teacher, huh?
No, not really, because she was old, mean-ass lady. John's made great progress on the F5 COE bed, so now we can move to the headache rack. You know, the truck itself has some great styling, so we're going to emulate that into the style and curves in the back little headache rack. You know, there's the inside and outside to this thing, so I want to get the inside piece to have the exact same line as the outside. It's super difficult to get in between there and kind of get back and trace, so thinking I'll use just a light and a little shadow right there. We'll have a perfect line to trace, and then it'll match up perfect.
Now we got everything traced out. Now it's time to cut out these metal parts. Since these pieces are so big, you got to kind of plan out where you're going to cut first and where you're going to end until the big pieces fall. And always make sure you wear steel-toe boots when stuff is landing on you. When I first started out welding, when I was young, maybe like 12, 13, my dad told me, I'm getting you a grinder for Christmas. I seen your welds. Damn.
Tack it in, have it right up against it, and then it just naturally curve up. Alright, cool. Get that other piece up here. This thing's really taking shape. I love the flow of it. It fits the truck very well. So the next step is just making a bunch of filler pieces.
And make the final cap at the corner. Not only is this curved this way, but it's also twisted as it curves. So it got me some reference marks drawn out there. And once I connect them from side to side, you'll see how I'm gonna have to force my brakes in this metal to make it roll and kind of twist at the same time. Then take it over to the English wheel, form it a little bit. On the English wheel, the top wheel is flat, and the bottom wheel has a contour to it. And as you roll the metal through here, it kind of shapes the sheet metal to the lower wheel and gives it that radius that the lower wheel has. I mean, sure, you could go put this on us and you want it to be smooth, so this is the best way of doing that. Now we gotta weld this out, but we can't run a consistent bead because it'll generate too much heat, so we gotta move it around. If not, this piece will just deform on you, warp, and it won't look too well.
It's always good to see progress on these big builds. The headache rack and bed are taking shape on this F5 COE. So much to the point, we can plot out where the wood's gonna be. Ready to get this wood laid out?
Yep.
We'll go with all the same spacing that's on the running boards, 2 inch on the outer side, 1.5 inches in the inside, just to give a little style to it.
Yeah.
You don't want to give John something a little different, something nobody's really seen before that shows everyone we don't take a car in just to get it done. We want to build it with passion.
Now we got all the big pieces of floor out. Now I got to notch all the bracing down about 1 inch to accommodate the 3/4 inch hardwood that's going to go in there, plus the bracing that I got to build around it. We don't want these bracing to fill up with water when you're driving in the rain, if you get caught in the rain. So we got to cap it, seal it up, and then once that's done, we can build all the frame for the wood inserts. That's why Daddy gave me a grinder all those years ago. Thanks, Dad.
Because we're building the chassis of the 1969 Corvette directly to the body of the car, we're going to put the motor and trans in place and build everything else around it. Came in, huh?
I did.
2012 Camaro, about 420 horsepower, and this thing's a huge improvement.
Man, 6-speed, the car is so short, low to the ground, and all the new suspension, it's just gonna run, drive like a little go-kart all the time. All we do now is slide it in, get it leveled, and I think we're ready. We go back a little bit. Woo. You hit right there now.
Catching the top a little bit.
Hit the back up. Tight.
Man, it's a whole lot of power in this car. I'm gonna have a whole bunch of fun with this motor.
You talking about whenever you level it up and get it centered? Good job.
No, man, I'm talking about when I'm driving it.
Our next step is to put a cross member for the chassis that'll hold both sides together and keep the engine in place.
So I just went ahead and drew my center line. That way I know when I match everything up, everything's gonna be nice and straight, center, parallel. Center lines are your best friends.
Level this. We look centered in the wheel well, Rudy?
Yeah. We're attaching our final pieces to connect our front frame section to our actual frame. Normally people would usually just use 2 mounts, but we're gonna go ahead and reinforce it with 3, only because it's a fiberglass body, and so any vibration can start cracking at any point. All we have to do now is make a pipe that's going to connect the bracket to the frame. I like to grab a little small piece of copper tubing because it's easy for me to work the shape out by hand. We want to keep the front end as rigid as possible. We don't want this fiberglass to crack. Once the fiberglass cracks, this thing is whack. So I have my pipes cut out. Now I have to go ahead and bend it to match this angle. And then we'll just throw a little weld on there. Our piece is going to be bending underneath the radiator here.
That looks pretty good, Rudy. Building the chassis to the Corvette body took some extra engineering, but now it's super strong and in the perfect place to build the front suspension off of. Do your thing, weld it out right there.
Cool, let's do it.
We do it with a bare coilover, it's easier just for everything to clear. And a lot of the Pro Touring cars, the high-powered cars that are trying to get into the corners and they can handle real stiff, they're going to these coilovers, which is we're going to do the same on this car. What this is going to do is the spring will hold the car up. If we raise this up, car will raise up an inch. If you want to lower the car, it'll allow the spring to collapse the same amount and the car will actually lower. What the shock does, this just keeps the car solid. If you want a little stiffer ride, you add a little bit more shock. Less, you add a little less shock. So it's a perfect setup for these Pro Touring style cars.
With the front suspension in place, we can fit the C4 differential to the rear. Things looking good, that's perfect placement for this thing. But we're so limited of room underneath here. By the time we get the lower arms on, the spindles on, the 4-link, we want the coilover back up front. So the body here is in the way. And so let's go ahead and cut all this out so we got plenty of room to mock the shock up. And this is one of the last things we got to do to this chassis. Rudy, you be able to ride in style. Put them glasses back on.
Where are your glasses? You go back to my sister.
To leave the classic body, stop. But if we had to cut anything, it'd be these storage boxes that sit behind the seat that folks hardly used anyway. Because we need so much more room for the coilover and a couple extra braces, we're just going to take these boxes completely out of the way, and all the structure of the car is going to stay up in here. So we kept all that. These storage boxes, they can go in and won't hurt nothing at all.
Because we went with a wider wheel and a lot deeper offset, there's a whole lot less real estate underneath the 69 Corvette for the suspension. So we're going to have to modify the C4 suspension that we're putting in this to fit perfect.
Now we have the rear end locked up in place. What we're going to do is put a spindle on the wheel, put the wheel up here in place, and make sure the wheel is centered in the wheel well.
We don't want the wheel too far out, but then obviously it's going to hit the outside of the fender. It's going to either tear up our fiberglass or it's going to start tearing up our tire on our wheel. We definitely don't need that.
Is that where you want it, Rick? Look good? Level, centered in the wheel well?
Yeah.
Now everything's set right where we want it. First thing we're going to do is make the bars that connect the frame to the spindle, which is going to be the 4-link.
Our center pieces for our 4-links, typically they're a little bit longer than this, but with our car being so small and compact, is what we're gonna get. But it's gonna work. So go ahead and tack these up, weld them all out. Now 4 links will be done. Want to trace the top of this? When you're driving down the road, you want the wheels to be in alignment at all times. So I'm making a camber bar to give the suspension more rigidity. How's that look?
That's good out here.
So moving on, we're gonna go ahead and start installing our coilover. For the most part, the rear suspension is fitting well, except for the drive shafts that are just too big. Rudy's gonna cut these, use them for mock-up. We'll take them to the drive shaft specialist to have brand new ones made. And there she goes. Cutting, cutting. Woo! Perfect. We're gonna keep this one. We're gonna measure 1 3/4 and cut it out. Cool, there we go. It's the excess we don't need no more, so we'll get rid of that. This is what we need now. Mock it up on the car. That'll be our mock-up drive shaft.
Ooh, this thing looking good. You know, the new frame looks so nice and rigid. This thing is going to be a blast to drive around on the hills and through the curves. So you ready to get it separated? Let's get this thing off the powder coat and really make it shine.
Successfully remove the body from the frame. A whole lot easier than doing it from the factory frame.
The chassis is just getting back from powder coat, so I got Justin making brand new headers and side pipe. It'll give it a meaner, way more custom look.
So we're about to start the build on these headers for the 69 Corvette. It's going to be a side-mounted exhaust with the muffler integrated into it. One of the key things on building a set of custom headers is you need to look and find out which one's going to be your hardest tube to place. In this case right here, it's going to be this front runner. So we're going to start from right here, and we're going to build this tube all the way out to hold our collect until we get the other 3 out. You can see right here, we got a lot of bends and twists on this exhaust system. Reason being is we have a lot of components that we need to try to avoid, like our steering shaft, our motor mount. So we're going to end up doing some 45s or some pretty steep bends to get it to clear. These things are going to be crazy looking when we get done with them. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and get this first tube marked. We're going to go to the table and tack it. Then we're going to start tacking our next tube until we get out to our collector. You know, I mean, it's a lot of cutting, welding, grinding, until you end up with a finished product that you're happy with. What we're using is a 304 stainless material. The material we're using is twice as thick almost as your traditional headers. Stainless is a little bit tougher to cut, so it's a little bit harder on your blades, and the welding process is totally different. I'm using a TIG weld to give it a cleaner, smaller seam than a regular weld, and that's what you're looking for on exposed stainless steel headers. But the finished product is you got a header that'll last forever, it won't rust, and it looks cool as hell when it's finished. Alright, now that we got everything tacked up, we can go ahead and test fit it on the car, make sure everything's good, and then work on our side pipes. We can start from our V-band down, and that's going to be the fun part where we'll get to add the muffler, kind of quieten it down a little bit so it sounds a little bit more street friendly. From here, we're going to go ahead and slide a 3-inch tube in here to come out almost to the end of where our side exit is going to be. What we're going to end up doing is sliding a 4-inch tube over the 3-inch tube, and what that's going to do, it's going to serve as a heat shield to help protect his leg if he ever touches it. After this is welded out and polished, it's just going to look like one straight 4-inch pipe from the collector all the way out to the tip. We'll go ahead and weld these out, repeat the process on the other side, and these pipes will be good to go.
Now that we got this 1969 Corvette to 21st century performance standards, it's time to fix that stereo. So John's gonna make a handmade modern day speaker box.
You know, a Corvette is all about its nice smooth lines and curves. So same thing with the box. We don't want just a square enclosure in here. We're gonna put a little something to it. still make it nice and rugged and durable and usable. What I'm doing here is I'm just kind of sketching out my shape that I want on the front of this box. This is actually going to be the front side where the seats sit. Once I get the sides cut, the next thing I'll do is actually cut the opening in the top here and let it follow the curve that I put in this side panel here. So basically when I'm kerfing something, I just move my saw blade every 1/4 inch so it leaves enough meat in there to hold together. If you go in too deep, it'll end up breaking off. So you want to make sure you just get the right height set on your blade and just move the fence over and over and over.
Growing up, no really direction of what I want to do. I know I didn't want to go to college. That college wasn't for me.
Sure wasn't for me either. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even finish high school. You know, I got halfway there and I couldn't learn by reading a book or listening to a teacher or anything. The only way I learned was by using my hands.
Yeah.
And my dad, fortunately, had a shop established already, so after school I would go and mess around with stuff. He seen what I could do, and my mom seen what I could do, and they figured I was wasting teachers' time, so...
Yeah, and everybody learns different. You know, for me, it's getting out, making the mistakes, and learning from the mistakes.
Exactly.
You know, that's how I learned doing what we do. That's how you get good at doing what you do, is making those mistakes, and everybody's going to make them, learn from them, go from there, better yourself from that.
Messed up a whole lot of stuff, huh?
Right? Still do. You see a lot of Corvette bodies laying around custom shops totally unfinished. And now we definitely know why. Adding custom suspension and a chassis is a lot of work. To my team's credit, we're almost through the tunnel. Once John's finished installing the custom speaker box, it's time to give this thing back to Josh.
This thing's turned out looking awesome. So all I got left to do now is carry it over, plug it in, set it in the car, and I think he's gonna like it. Oh, squeeze. Thanks, sir.
Already?
Man, like a glove. Might need to wash the car a little bit.
Was definitely a challenge for us, but man, just looking at the stance of this car and just the overall look at it, we definitely all did our job. This thing looks badass.
Deal, Bill. Look at that.
What's happening, man?
Hey, how you doing, dude? What did you do to my car? I love it.
What do you think, man?
Man, oh man. You outdid yourself.
Man, you got here just in time. I thought Rudy was going to take off with it.
I would too if I were here.
Me and her had a good emotional connection. So I took really good care of her for you.
Oh, it looks like it. Oh man, this is fantastic. You know, I really like the look of the car, and I didn't really know how it was going to turn out, but now I'm really tickled.
Yeah, working on this car was a complete new experience for us. With it being a fiberglass body, we had to be extra precautious, even just tearing it down.
I mean, it definitely had some challenges. Took out that old engine, took out the old chassis. We just had this thing up on the lift, leveled it all up, and started building the frame piece by piece to the car.
Boy, it ought to drive like a rocket.
Man, absolutely. We know you wanted that C4 suspension on this thing, you know, with the upper and lower aluminum control arms, aluminum spindle. It looks really cool underneath the car, especially with the addition of the coilovers on this thing.
No kidding.
Everything underneath this car is 100% brand new.
Oh, that's what I wanted.
These wheels and tires are a huge upgrade too with the low pro the 20s. That's really going to help the handling of this thing also.
Yeah, they almost look stock.
Yeah.
On the outside, it still looks like a 69 Vet. And then you start looking through the wheels and you start seeing body parts that you know don't go on that car.
Yeah.
They're super upgraded.
Especially the side pipes on this thing too. The other ones, you know, just were
tired.
you need to upgrade, you definitely got that.
And y'all custom made those?
We had Justin build you a one-off set of headers and side pipes on this thing that really just wake this thing up.
No kidding. Those crazy side pipes and headers are unbelievable. Built by hand, one of a kind. How's it run?
And that old tired 350 in that thing is long gone. You got a new 6.2 in here, has a ton of horsepower. We know you like the manual transmission. You know, I had a 4-speed in it, now it has a 6-speed. So this thing's gonna be fun to drive.
I'll bet. Yeah, you did me a custom shifter too. That's really cool.
You know, with all this extra power, I know you're gonna spend a lot of time in this thing, so we definitely had to upgrade the stereo in this thing. It's got 6-inch full range speakers and 1,000 watts of power.
Wow.
You won't have any trouble hearing this thing.
No, I won't have to sing to myself anymore.
Man, Josh, there's only one way to really see it out.
Thanks, Rudy.
All right, no problem, Josh. You take good care of her now.
I will.
Whoa. I love it.
I can't say enough about this car. It's just over the top. Thanks, Extensive. Man, you guys blew it out of the park. I knew you could do it.
You know, it's crazy to think how much time we put into the metalwork and the bed of the Ford COE already. And I feel like we're just getting started. This looks good. I know it's a lot of work, man, but this is definitely going to pay off.
Man, John's really going to love this thing when he gets it back.
He can't not. Let's get the panels in here. Shoot, if they all fit good, let's get it off the powder coat. We still have to make the suspension, bedwood, custom interior, and paint. And wouldn't you know it, Big John just called with one more thing he wants to do. Man, this looks real, real good.
Once we get that good wood in here with that paint separating the panels,
Yes.
man, it's going to look really, really nice.
Absolutely. It's going to look totally unique, totally set it apart from anything else. We'll forget about all that hard work once. You know, it's part of the whole custom scene. Everybody's always looking to be bigger, better, and one of a kind. And this week, now we have even more metal work to do.
Oh, whoa. Stop. Got a dog house for the dog. A big dog.
This 2001 Ford F-350. 6 months ago, this was just a beat-up old work truck. You know, and even after all that, there's still just something missing.
Oh my God,
Holy
Bill, that
cow.
is sick right there, man.
You know, when big parts start coming together, it makes for a good day.
This is going to be one of my favorites that we've ever done.
Awesome. Yeah, good.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal. Man, Bill, so glad you came with me to pick up this engine. Well, you know, I'm not going to miss the time to come out and see old John and his cool car collection. And everybody's been talking about. We're months deep in customizing John's F5 Ford COE with tons of custom metalwork. He wants us to swing by his place because he wants to add a new engine. Once again, a super big build is getting even bigger. And, you know, got to check up on the old milk truck, see how it's doing. Absolutely.
Hey, Bill. Spot, how y'all doing?
Good, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
You working?
Yeah, just rubbing on this rascal a little bit. You doing all right?
Heck yeah.
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing fine.
Man, this thing's still looking good.
Put some miles on it, having a good time.
Running good?
It's still running great. I tell you, I enjoy the heck out of it.
We built a milk truck from ground up for Big John last year. Tons of custom metal work, full interior, and a big old diesel engine. You know, seeing the milk truck again, that just reaffirms that we really got to keep the bar high on this one.
Yeah, keep pushing the bar to build an even better vehicle than we built before.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely still my favorite build that's ever come out of the shop. But amongst all these other cars, what a collection.
You hadn't seen them all. There's still other garages.
No kidding.
You know, I've known John for a long time. Since I was a kid, we're a lot alike. Always looking to make his builds bigger and better. Always. We planned on keeping the existing engine on the COE, but in this game, the only thing you can count on is things are definitely going to change.
Well, you know how I like diesels. I like this Ford diesel in this one.
Yeah.
Let's do something different. Let's put a Cummins in the next one.
Man, I like that. I love, you know, that's part of it. Just that diesel sound, that smell, man, that'll make it.
I think so. Putting the diesel in the COE, it's the only way to go. They're bigger trucks. They need a diesel. This is what I want you to put in that COE, is a Cummins 4BT 12 valve, 3.9 liter with a 4-speed automatic tranny on it.
John, I think it's a great idea. You know, having the diesel in the COE is definitely the right way to go. Even being a 4-cylinder, this thing can still make some good power.
It'll make that COE run good.
The Cummins 4BT is a turbocharged 3.9 liter. It's a small version of the super popular 12 valve. You know, it still packs a ton of power, but size-wise, it's a way better fit for the COE.
This is probably going to be your new favorite.
Nah, this is my favorite.
Oh, no.
Well, then
it's going to be a tough decision.
I'll have two favorites.
You ready to load this up?
Let's load this rascal up.
Let me get the truck.
Yeah, go back it in. I'll get the forklift.
Work on the COE. And it's even going to take more work to make this diesel engine fit.
Clear over there?
This way? Cool. The truth is, if it were my truck, I definitely want the same thing. Come, Jimmy.
What you got on that truck out there?
Little engine, little diesel engine. Old John, milk truck John.
Yeah.
He loves how that diesel is in his milk truck. He said he just had to have a diesel in the COE.
So all the work with the old 350s in it, taking all that out, all the sheet metal, everything.
Whatever we're gonna do to make it fit. You know, we've already made a custom Western hauler style bed, running boards, and a whole headache rack. It's all at powder coat. Now we have even more metal work to do.
What do you want to get started on first?
You know, first things first, we're gonna pull out that small block, get rid of that sucker, and let's start doing what we gotta do to get that diesel in. You know, the Cummins 4BT has some components on the side that makes this thing a little wider than the 350. So you already know that creates a lot of work and making a whole new doghouse. And we're going to be adding new front bag mounts to the front suspension to haul that extra weight. Then we can add the wood into the bed and the running boards.
This thing orange or what?
Big John's definitely got to have it orange.
And the orange, the big billet wheels, and now the diesel motor kind of completes the whole project of the truck.
Definitely. The milk truck's going to have a little competition beside it when it gets back home. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Alrighty, buddy. Pull that hood off.
Alright. To make room for the new Cummins engine, Ryan and John are going to start by taking out the old small block 350.
That's one way to do it.
So is.
That looks like there's no way to get that out. This cross mover right here is going to really hang us up on getting the bottom of this thing out.
I seen that coming.
Sucks.
I had a feeling this was going to happen, but it was worth a shot. You know, we were hoping we'd just remove the front end, and we better get the engine out the front of the truck. But clearly that's not going to happen because we got a front cross member here, and we don't want to cut that out. So, more work.
To pull the engine out, we got to make room. So we're going to take the radiator off, and then the motor mounts. You ready? Yeah. You hung up on something.
This wire right here, hold on. I got it. Hold on. Temperature sensor wire. All right.
Nice. That'll make life a little easier, huh? A little bit. Hey, stop.
I need the chain to be as short as possible, though.
I understand that. You're hitting the distributor cap. You're about to knock it off. When you're building custom cars and trucks, it seems like they never end. We're always constantly changing and evolving and coming up with bigger, badder stuff. And this is no different.
Right there?
Come down here. All right. Pull the motor your way here.
See what we got.
All right. Go ahead. so we can put something way cooler in this one, huh?
Yeah, diesel power.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, you know, John always gets what he wants, so
Hey.
I wish I was that John.
And the running boards. So I asked Lewis to help me pick the right wood to accent that orange paint. What's up, man?
How you doing, man?
This is the color we got. Lamborghini orange for that COE. You know, the wood's going to be pretty prominent on the bed of this thing and down in the running board. So it's really going to stand out. But I want something, you know, with a nice grain to it. What is this?
So that one's alder right there. That's a really white wood, so we could add a stain to that. This one's oak. We have walnut here. This is cherry. We have mahogany, and this one's lacewood.
Man, I like that.
We can add a little bit of solvent to it. You know, you can kind of see the natural appearance and the figure of that grain, and our mahogany, and then our walnut.
Man, I think these two.
Yeah, man.
You know, I love the grain in this thing. I think majority lacewood with little separation of mahogany.
Yeah, man.
That would be nice.
Yeah, wood. Yeah, this lacewood, when it's in the sun, it's just going to pop at you. All of the grain running like that, that sun's going to hit it. It's going to be beautiful.
Cool.
All right, man.
Let's do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we got the engine compartment cleared out. Now it's time to fit the Cummins. Typical. As everything else around it being a little bit wider and obviously a lot bigger than that little 350 that was in here. So what I'm gonna do is keep as much of the firewall as I can because height isn't an issue, it's just width. So I'll just cut all the way back and hopefully I'll be able to save this chunk and just move it over an inch. Also gonna trim the frame rails to make a little bit of room and then plate it, boxing it in. That way when I do get this motor in here, I can go ahead and build my motor mounts as well without having to pull it back out again. Everything's done, frames boxed in, motor mount plates are made and ready for the motor to come in. We go grab John and stab this thing in here. Try to tilt back. Oh, whoa, stop.
Ah, that sucks. See it hitting the top and it's already at the bottom.
You know, when you own a custom shop as long as I have, you get a lot of experience fitting things in vehicles where they're not supposed to be, like the Cummins and the 1950 Ford COE.
On this side, the injector pump is hitting the body.
For our second attempt on the COE, we raised the body off the frame about a foot to get that engine in there.
It's about right. Like down, we can start getting this motor mounted to the frame. Whenever you need help, holla at me.
Oh, we will. Come on.
Now that we got the new engine in, you could clearly see it's a lot taller than what was in there. This was the original doghouse that was in there for the 350. So what we're gonna have to do is start from scratch, build a whole new doghouse, make it taller and wider as well. So I got a rough measurement from inside the truck, 36 by 24. Lay it in there, draw me a couple lines, start shaping it. Let's toss it in the truck. What we're gonna do here to get us some reference lines where I gotta bend this. This mark is the edge of the exhaust. These two marks are the valve cover, and this one is the edge of the fuel filter. Now we'll take this over to the machine and get braking. Got a doghouse for the dog, the big dog. Looks like this is gonna fit pretty good. Make a little adjustment cuts here and there. Make this as close as possible to the engine to give us as much cabin room as possible. But the engine does produce heat, so we can't get too close because then this will get hot. As you can see, this is a lot smaller than what we're working with, so we're just gonna go ahead and cut that off and just make it all new. Piece tacked on there, giving it a little structural integrity while I make a bunch of these little pieces. They're going to form the panel from the top and connect it to the back side. There's going to be a lot of trimming, fitting, and adding till we get this thing all finished.
Ground up builds, especially with an owner like Big John, he really challenges us to build something truly that's one of one. You know, that's my passion, but it's also my business. So I'm always riding that line, what's best for the shop and what's best for the build. You know, the truth be told, my passion almost always wins. Exhibit 1011, this 2001 Ford F-350. You know, we've done a lot of work to this point to get this old green work truck to the point it's at. You know, you can't really tell now, but about 6 months, we raised the truck 4 inches, added 24-inch wheels, we added full paint, fabricated the bed to flow with our custom fenders and custom short tailgate. You know, and even after all that, there's still just something missing.
Man, I know that look. What are you thinking?
It is not done. It needs a little more.
Like what?
It just needs something to throw it over the top. I think graphics on this thing would really, really, really just wake it up.
So you think it's something subtle, something small, or something just crazy?
See, you know I'm right. You know I'm right, Tim.
You're always right. That's why you're a successful businessman in America.
It's just too green. It needs some graphics down the side. You know, we got to call Caesar and Amanda, get them to come over and get it laid down on here. Then this thing will be finished.
I'll hit him up, see if he's in town, so you can stop by.
You know, we're lucky here with Houston's custom car scene. We have an abundance of specialists and artists who can really just take something just totally over the top. Like this husband and wife team, Caesar and Amanda.
So the main purpose of prepping it is that way we can open up the pores of the paint so we can actually have the adhesion on top of the base color.
Having my wife work with me is a lot easier because the same goal in mind always helps.
Plus, good work is hard to find, so that's why I learned so I can work with him every day.
I'm gonna start with my fine line. I basically had to draw something to get proportion right, and then from there I'll start tweaking it and getting the balance just right. It looks good on paper, but putting it on something that's three-dimensional is really hard because if one line has a real clean arc and there's a kink in it, that disrupts the whole flow of the design process. And it's kind of like a puzzle. You know, I'm trying to piece everything together and I'm working little by little, and then from there I'll step back and look at the bigger picture.
Now that these graphics are done on this side of the truck, we're gonna pounce it to the other side. You're gonna have to tape over there and come this way.
All right.
We're gonna go ahead and start tracing them and making our marks with a crayon. We're gonna make sure that we get the graphics and then also like the door jambs, the body lines, stuff like that, so that way we can make sure that we have accurate placement whenever we flip it to the other side and transfer the image. More of like an avocado green. So we are going to be trying to mix something that's kind of close to that. I can kind of manipulate the tones to get it where we want it.
I like where the green's at, but it needs a little bit more of a bump. So we got some interstellar pearls we're gonna add to it.
Caesar, we're good.
That's what I want. And the sun is gonna make the pearl pop out and give it that dancing shimmer effect. All right, so what we're gonna do is, we got it all masked up, so I'm gonna start laying my base coat down. With pearls, there is a technique to spraying. You wanna get nice, even coats, no blotchiness. So you wanna be a little higher with your pressure and a little more sporadic. That way you can get your pigments to lay on real well. I just finished doing my second coat. What I'm gonna do is wait for this to flash. I'll come back after it's cured and spray some more coats.
What I like about Caesar and Amanda's work, they use multiple techniques with multiple layers all throughout the graphics. The details they're gonna add to this F-350 are just gonna look like they're popping out all that green.
I'm just trying, that way the balance is there, kind of coming from both angles. It kind of makes it look like the colors are cutting into each other. I'll start with the the base. I'll come along the edges, get a nice smooth blend. And basically each step builds on top of it. I'll clean the gun, I'll load it up with the candy. You'll slowly start seeing the transitions of the pearls and the candies kind of mixed together. With custom painting, you never know what's going to happen. You never know how your layout's going to turn out, and you kind of base it off a feeling, and you just want to have the right look. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of sacrifice. Sometimes you got to break a few eggs before you get it right.
Hey, is that lift arm going to hit that body mount over there?
Nope, I'm good.
We're separating the frame on the 1950 Ford F5.
Turn the wheel.
We're going to tidy up the suspension with new upper, lower control arms, bag mounts, and all new bags all the way around. You know, right now is one of the most critical stages when you're setting up air suspension. We got the chassis simulated with the truck all the way deflated, like all the way on the ground. So we're going to simulate the bag fully compressed with our 3-inch spacer. So that's where it needs to go. Okay, real quick, Ryan, measure.
5 and 1/16. 5 and a 16.
We're ready to blow this thing apart.
So, you know, these last couple hours and this little moment right here is always exhausting and exciting all at the same time. Once we get this thing done and powder coated and you start seeing it all come together, man, just this in itself is going to be a showstopper, you know, and then adding the cab and the bed and wheels and all that, man, this is going to be one of my favorites that we've ever done, for sure.
John wants to paint this entire truck orange. You know, I was looking for something bright, bold, but still classy.
In the booth we go. Coming out Tangelo. Oh, come on. Our customer John is all about the bling and the wow factor. So we went with a 2015 Lamborghini orange on this truck. This is a big truck. It's going to be a lot of orange. I think he's going to like it. Because there is so much pearl in it, it doesn't cover as well as some other paints. So you got to make sure when you're spraying, you got a nice even spray pattern. You sunlight. On this color, it's going to take 4, maybe 5 coats to get complete coverage, and that's what we're going for.
You know, I like to powder coat our suspensions and frames. You know, it not only lasts longer, more durable, but it makes it look a whole lot better. You know, with the chassis back from powder coat, ask Little One to assemble the rolling chassis. Then we'll install the engine and marry it to the flatbed and the cab. Yeah, that's right. His name's Little One. Don't ask me why, but he's a good mechanic and fabricator.
We get the motor in here, get the wiring done, and we go ahead and get all the brake lines. That way we don't have to struggle when the cab is on there and everything's fit perfectly.
And it's the first time I see the powder coat compared to the cab. It goes really good. Come on, Jesse. Go forward. Line display right here. All right, go down. Slowly. All right, let's get the other side. Go
Down?
Yeah. Oh,
Right there, you got it right there.
All right, Jesse. Your forklift services are no longer needed.
Thanks, buddy. It's always cool to take the extra effort just to do the rolling chassis. You know, John wanted to keep basically the stock chassis, but he wanted to modify it to fit the truck. Powder coated, broken apart, and you look up underneath there, and everything's finished 100%.
Green down?
Been a long time coming. We're getting the cab down on the chassis. Finally, you know, we started working on this. It was kind of cold outside. Got hot, real hot. We worked all the way through summer. Starting to get cold again. You know, you can tell this is a long project. Measure the distance in between there. Center hole, center hole.
Yeah, 23 3/4.
I'm an instant gratification guy, so I'm feeling pretty gratified right now. You know, when big parts start coming together, it makes for a good day. Looking good?
Yeah, a little bit.
That's about right where it's gonna be. Hell yeah. Man, that's what I like to see. You know, it feels good to look around the shop and see all these big and bigger builds getting worked on. But honestly, nothing feels better when you give one of these back to the owner. And after several months of work, this lifted F350 is right on the edge.
Makes these graphics seem like they're wider when you're looking at them, but not something that's going to overkill them. It's easy to mess up, and it's even harder to fix once you do. Sometimes when I'm striping, I'll hold my breath, and as I'm pulling my line, I'll exhale. Even my own heartbeat will shake my hand sometimes. It's just you and the brush, and you just focus on the moment that you're striping, because it takes a lot of control and discipline to get your brush to work. You have to control it. I'm nowhere as good as I want to be, and every time I pick up the brush, in the first 10 or 15 minutes, I'm going to know if I'm going to stripe that day. Because some days I have it, some days I don't.
Let me find some wood to knock on, because this truck is done. When the owners Andrew and Katie dropped this truck off a few months ago, you wouldn't believe it. It was just a busted up old work truck. But after all we've done, it's going to be worth the wait, and these graphics are just a cherry on the top. What's happening? Good morning.
What do you say, Bill? How you doing, man?
Hi.
Hi, good morning.
Today's the day.
Yeah, it is, right? You've been waiting a while.
Oh, yeah.
You guys came in that old tired ranch truck. You wanted something totally different, right?
We wanted that one-off no one had.
Right?
Family, its whole life. I wasn't having a new truck. They all look the same.
What better way than just take the money we have saved and build something unique?
We spent a lot of time on the aesthetics on this thing. Just when we thought we were done with this thing, it wasn't done. It needed something just a little more to put it way over the top.
Cool deal. Let's see it. I'm real nervous right now because, I talked her into doing it, and now, if it doesn't turn out right, she's going to kick my butt.
You guys ready to check this thing out?
I'm super excited.
Let's get Matt to bring this thing around.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God,
Holy
Bill, that
cow.
is sick right there, man. That is awesome.
Oh, I think I'm going to cry. That's crazy. I'm
You
shaking.
get it right there.
Looks good, huh?
Oh yeah, not even
Not
the
even
same truck.
close to what we expected, right?
Nope, not even close. This is nice, Bill.
I mean,
So you're liking it?
Oh yeah, we're loving it. Loving it.
look at that really cool bumper.
Just makes you want to get out of its way,
Oh
right?
yeah, those
Yeah.
round
What do you-
lights. I'm glad you went with that instead of a light bar.
Yeah, man, there's been way overplayed, right?
No, that is perfect. That is nice.
The 24-inch dually wheels on this thing that just really
They
wakes
set
it
it
up,
off. Color match too.
right?
That's nice.
One of the most unique things on the truck is the bed itself. So what we did is just cut the original bed down and shaped it around the later model dually fenders, which gives it just a totally different look.
Perfect. And plus, I still get the bed use. It's got the sides. It's got the little tailgate on there, so stuff's not flying out. I don't have to strap everything down.
Right?
Little baby
I
gate.
think it's pretty cute.
Little baby
A
gate.
mini gate.
The finishing touch on this was just the graphics, just to tie everything together, just put it next level.
It takes that truck from awesome to radical, 100%.
That's right.
I think those graphics stand out. It's like they're not even touching the paint. It's like they're just setting off the truck completely. The different layers on that, the colors in there, that's perfect. But it doesn't take it away from the actual truck itself. So
It adds to it,
yeah,
for sure.
it really does.
Absolutely. It just gives it that whole aggressive attitude and makes it just
Stand out. It's kind of cool, It's like there's a little snakeskin looking thing, and then there's like a little leopard looking thing. I don't know. It's like an exotic animal of some sort.
It's like the green beast, man. It's unique.
there you go, man. I think you just named your truck.
Might have. See what she says about that.
Now we need some graphics on the back windows that say Green Beast.
After looking at everything that Bill's done and the guys did on this truck, we only have one problem.
What's that?
This time we'll be bringing more of our vehicles here.
Oh, gosh.
You went above and beyond what we wanted. This is perfect.
Appreciate that. I'm glad it's still in your family. I'm sure you're going to keep it for a long time.
We will.
Oh yeah, it'll go to the grave with us.
Watch the back of the cab. It's always good to see one leave, but two is always better. And the 1950 Ford COE is getting real close to being finished. John's out there putting a lot of strips of wood together to fill that bed and the running boards.
So I've got all the raw lumber laying down to the proper thickness. So what we can do now is I'm going to take the jig that they built the bed off of, mark it out so I know what parts of it I'm going to be using. I'm going to go ahead and cut these boards down to length so I have smaller pieces to deal with, and it'll be a lot easier to manage when it's time to glue and clamp these up. Next thing we want to do is do a layout for our biscuit joinery. This is what's called a biscuit. We create a pocket in both halves of the wood, and when you bring it together, it keeps everything lined up. It makes a stronger joint, so these things will be solid. I'm going to take this tool. This is a plate joiner, and what this is going to do is it's actually going to cut it. The biscuit fits in like that, and it will line up with the next one. They go together like so. That way now it's perfectly even across here. A little bit of sanding and these things will be dead on, ready to go. Usually we're working with fiberglass, Bondo, India, things like that. It's really kind of a treat to have a chance to work with some real wood and, you know, play with a tree.
Everything we do here, it's about going the extra mile. So when Big John wanted to Cummins diesel in his COE, you know, I gave a call to some Cummins specialists who come from a tiny little town, hour and a half north of here, called Nacogdoches.
What's up?
Hey, what's happening, man?
What's up, Bill?
How you doing, brother? Man, real good. Appreciate you guys coming down.
Absolutely. No problem, man.
And what'd you think about this, man?
This is awesome.
It's like beauty, man.
I doubt there's very many 52 Fords run around with a 4BT in.
Right.
Dude, I can't wait to hear this thing run, man. Get a hold of that pump, turn it up, make it roll some coal.
Do what you do, Glenn. Let's get this thing running.
Let's get her done.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Stock, this engine's about 120 horsepower. We're going to have John's pushing about 3 turns, pump work, turbo.
It should give us about 600 foot-pounds of torque, which is plenty for moving this big old truck.
That's a bad little engine.
Yes, it is.
Big bang for your buck. All right, now that we got the front cover off, I think we're ready to go ahead and clean everything up, make sure there's no debris or anything inside of it that could potentially cause a malfunction or failure, and then put our new billet front cover on. So the advantage of this front cover versus the old style one is that they actually were prone to leaking a lot. They were a really thin piece of metal, and these engines heat up and cool down so much that they actually start to warp and breaks the seal on the gasket. So the advantage of this, it's a lot thicker, a lot stronger. It helps create a better seal over time, and we won't have oil going everywhere either.
These 4-cylinder Cummins, these 4BTs, they run great fuel mileage, and they can move a big vehicle for the size of them, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of companies use them that do a lot of deliveries.
Yeah.
And they're running 24/7.
24/7.
Putting 400, 500,000 miles on these things, and they just
keep on running. Okay, so we're taking these single valve covers off. We're going to put one solid piece of billet aluminum on here. They tend not to leak as much. Instead of a gasket that kind of overlaps these, we got O-rings on each one that's cut into the billet piece. Looks a lot better than what we have here.
So what we're putting on here is a harmonic balancer. Typically 4BTs didn't come with them because they were in industrial use. They didn't really care about vibration in the engine or anything like that. Seeing as this is going in a truck now, this helps dampening all the vibrations coming from the crank and just really smooths out the engine idle and gives you a nice ride.
Bill and his guys did an amazing job getting this to fit, and we can fire this thing up. You ready to start it?
Yeah, I got the launch crack ready to bleed it out.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
This thing sounded awesome, man. This thing's going to give John plenty of room in here. It's just going to fit the bill, man. It's just going to run great. I mean, it just sounds awesome, man.
Woo! Sounds great.
John's been putting in hours and hours of making the wood to put in the running boards and the flatbed. You know, it takes a lot of experience to work with the hardwood.
But as you see, I got it all roughed out and cut to shape. So the next thing I'm going to do is take my template. I'm just going to clamp the template to this and take my hand router and a flush trim bit and work my way around it. Slowly ease my way around the corners being a hardwood, I'm gonna have to be careful so it doesn't tear out and split out on the ends. So take a little bit more time than cutting MDF, but way worth it. Well, we got this one piece ready to go. So next step is get it over to the paint shop and we'll get a finish put on it. Man, it sure does look good. Awesome. Man, I can't wait to see them in the truck. It's gonna be beautiful, man. Beautiful.
So we're gonna get the wood ready to stain. The stain's gonna look great with this type of wood. It's gonna give it the clarity that we want, and it's gonna be beautiful. I want it to be fairly natural, so I don't want a really heavy pigmented stain. So this is gonna be very transparent. It's gonna highlight the wood, so we'll put it on there. I wanna go in a circular motion to make sure that I get all of this stain mixture here applied evenly. So I'll come back and I'll wipe it this way out. Got the clear in the gun, and we're gonna get to spraying. We're going for a full fill finish, just like a piano would have. So in order to seal the pores of the wood, we need to keep coating it, keep sanding it, smooth it out really well, and that's the way we're gonna get that look that Bill wants.
Builds like this, I like to have the design flow from the inside out. So the wood on the bed is going to flow all the way into the interior.
Now I got all the measurements and everything. We've got the shifter in and the doghouse, so we know everything's going to fit like we should. So now it's going to transfer all these measurements to a piece of chipboard, and then we'll start building this console. All right, now we got all the pieces cut out. We're going to put the base of the console together. Once we get it all together, we're going to go ahead and start on the top section of it. It's going to look pretty nice. I'm loving it so far. I think it's going to be just like what was envisioned. You know, we're going to have the two googly eyes here, two more googly eyes here, shifter right there, compartment with plenty of storage, plenty of room. You'll see when these sides go on, it's actually going to leave us a 1/4-inch gap in the center for our aluminum. That's going to run like a belt line all the way across here. And then we're going to have our lace wood veneer on the top. So where this lid opens up, I don't want to see screws. We have our center screws. We're going to attach from inside this panel through the aluminum and pull this together. So it's going to give a real clean look without seeing one screw whatsoever. People are going to wonder how it's held together. Like most things I build, the console is a puzzle. You know, I build everything from inside out. It's the little details that count. A lot of extra work, but it's worth it in the end. I like it.
Now that all the pieces of the COE puzzle are built, we got to complete the picture. That's installing the doors, adding the stereo, final electrical, and of course installing the beautiful hardwood and the running boards in the bed.
There has been a ton of work. I know I say that a lot of work in this thing.
You know, the great thing about customization is you have this one idea, your one base idea to start off of. And once you start getting into it, you're transforming your vehicle into something, your vision. There's always other ideas along the way that even make your vision greater. There's always something to put your personal touch on.
Once you do add that one or two pieces, now you got to keep going down the truck.
Snowballs.
Yeah. Everybody pushes the boundaries every year.
Well, that's one good thing about customization. It never does stop.
The wheels get bigger, tires get bigger, brakes get bigger, suspensions get taller, try to get lower. Same with stereo, same with changing paint. It's just on and on and on.
That's what's great about the industry that we're in. There's always something higher to reach for, something to improve on. The Ford COE has just been a huge build. You know, everybody at the shop has been pushing one another to create Big John something he can be proud of for years to come.
I've waited a long time for excited to get this COE back. How you doing?
Hey, man, good. Good to
Glad
see
you got out here.
Man, I always like coming out here and hanging out with you.
Well, I always loved having you. I invited my grandkids out here so they could see this because they all love the milk truck, but the bar was high on that.
That's right. I know, you won't accept nothing less than that for sure.
I hope you exceeded that bar on this one.
Absolutely. Been a long time coming. I know you're ready. You guys ready?
You're ready.
Let's check this thing out. Come on, John.
Awesome. You did good. Look at that rascal.
What you think?
Yeah. I like it. Look at the blade. You hit the paint perfect. Compared to what it was.
The sun hitting this Lamborghini orange, this thing looks amazing.
Hey, Don.
Hey, John.
You had a hand in this one, doing this one?
Yes, sir.
You did the milk truck?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. You did an awesome job.
Thank you, sir.
Tell me everything about it. What all y'all do?
I got to tell you what we started with on this one, right?
We had a nasty truck.
Nothing lined up on this. There was rust everywhere. Months and months of metal work, just making everything
fit right.
We dropped the frame out of this thing, redid the suspension, powder coated it just by making a Western hauler style bed. It just really fits this style of the
looks
truck.
Great. What type of wood is this?
That's a lace wood with mahogany inserts, and also brought it down into the running boards just to bring some color in that, contrast, and just be something that nobody's ever seen before.
I mean, the lines are beautiful. The wood cut is perfect. You come up with the extraordinary every time. I appreciate it.
Of course, he threw us a curveball on this thing.
We changed with the diesel motor.
Yeah, we had this thing almost all buttoned up as far as engine wise, and then with this nice curveball.
Oh, well, I knew y'all could handle it.
Let's check this out.
Let's go check it out. Whoa, that looks fantastic. Great.
How the little 4BT looks right at home in this thing, right?
It did really good.
Well, I'm glad you made that call because this thing needed a diesel.
When y'all picked it up, it didn't look like that.
No, you definitely wouldn't want to pop the hood the way it was before, right? You see the intercooler tubes go up in there. Just, man, it makes this thing really stand out. Had the one-way diesel guys come down. They turn this thing up. It's got over 300 plus horsepower, probably 1,000,000 foot-pounds of torque.
Should be Screamer now,
right? You ready to check out the interior?
You bet we are. Wow. You did fantastic. That looks good.
But you gotta have the comfort too, right?
Oh yeah, we gotta be able to cruise in it and enjoy it.
I mean, we started by ripping everything out of this thing and just starting fresh. Welded up all the holes in the dash and just woke this thing up, brought that orange color inside.
I like the wood here, but you brought it in here.
Right?
That is beautiful. All
just had to tie it all together.
And the console too.
Not only that, this thing sounds good too. You got all new stereo on this thing. It's all Bluetooth. New gauges, new AC, new everything.
The upgrades are unbelievable.
There's not anything in this thing from 1950.
That's true. That's true. This exceeded what I wanted. The orange, all the bling, the wood, that rollback roof, all of it's fantastic. I'm looking really forward to taking this truck out.
Bart was said hi with the milk truck. How we do?
The milk truck's great, and this is better. If we ever do another one, you really gonna have some time. Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much.
Let's get this thing in.
Let's get it inside.
This job was a long one for us. Every guy in the shop has hours and hours and weeks, in some cases months. And this is a long, labor-intensive build, which I'm very proud of how this thing turned out. Reminds me of how good my whole team is. I'm proud of each and every one of my guys. I couldn't do this alone, and I appreciate everything they do for me and all my customers.
I see families doing that no more.
Then you don't. Get rid of everything that's underneath and just start over. And then the fun part, the steering.
Hating myself already for coming up with another one of these ideas.
1966 Cobra replica. Missed the roll bar. For looks and for safety. So it's going to be a little more complicated than I thought. We got to create the structure underneath to hold all this together. This will make it or break it. I'm Bill Carlton. I built built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal. Is important to me, but some builds, they just take me back. Hey, what's happening?
Hey, how you doing? Scott. Bill?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This thing's cool. It's definitely unique.
1965 Ford Falcon.
My dad used to have one similar to that, man. I learned how to drive down this road, and I was sitting up in his lap, and I remember steering this thing and not going anywhere.
Yeah, right. That's about what it is now.
The Falcon was Ford's answer to the VW bus in the 1960s. Unlike the VW, the engine isn't in the back. It's right in between the driver and the passenger seat.
I brought it here to let you work your magic. Ooh. I got 2 little ones and try to take like 3 weeks vacation on the road a year driving around, get out and see the country.
That's really cool. So you need something comfortable, reliable, and safe.
And cool.
And cool.
Getting my daughter and son excited about custom cars and maybe have them riding around in something custom someday. It's a cool thought.
Let's check this thing out.
All right.
Man, this thing's really nice in here. But just not for put your family in and go across the country on.
My wife will not drive cross country in this car with me.
What kind of engine's in this
Where'd you see this?
That's definitely not going to cut it. We might as well give it some power for Dad on the weekends.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. An engine change out is an absolute necessity. It has to be something that, I can actually keep up with traffic these days.
The dash, we'll start over, put new gauges in it. AC.
It'd be nice to have a little AC.
As far as the running gear, we just need to get rid of everything that's underneath this thing and just start over. New engine, trans, independent front suspension, rack and pinion. Make this thing drive right, because I know it's all over the road right now. Let's check out the rest of this thing. You got plenty of room in it.
A lot of studio space in there.
Yeah. You're wanting something nice, comfortable for the family, for the kids in the back. You want like TVs, iPads, anything like that?
No TVs. Stereo, music would be cool. We got to think about it being unplugged back here. Use the windows as the screens.
I get where Scott's coming from. Totally unplugging, getting out, seeing the road, and letting the family enjoy what's out there. I wish my kids could do that. Let's go make it happen.
Great.
Than rolling up to the rest stop and seeing the exact same vehicle with a different family in it. But Scott's got it figured out. A van for the family and a cool custom van for old Dad. Why get something that everybody else has? Customizing a car, a truck, there's a little restrictions, but when you're customizing a van, there's a lot of room for improvement. There's endless possibilities for something truly custom. Come on in, buddy.
What is this?
Thing's cool, huh?
This thing's real cool.
Scott is going to use this thing to take his family all around the country.
Man, you really don't see families doing that no more, just getting together and hanging out and driving.
Then you don't. So we're going to make something really cool, comfortable, and dependable. Something they can take from state to state to state. This thing's got some miles on it. No motor. It's definitely seen better days. We got to change the power plant. I'm thinking it's a Ford truck, so we got to stick with the Ford engine. Let's go with the EcoBoost and plenty of power. Super sporty. He'll love to drive this. Hey, check this out, man. Look at this.
Yeah, it needs some suspension work, huh?
It needs a little bit of suspension work. We're going to go through this whole thing front to back, bumper a nice rack and pinion on this thing, and something that's really stable and tight and fun to drive. Going from that, reconfigure the dash. She wants AC in it, of course. With all this glass in it, it's going to get super hot. You know, and this interior, man, has got a ton of room. This is going to take some work really dialing it in. So Heath and John really got to get creative, use this space wisely, and make it comfortable for the whole family to be in it.
You sure you want to give Heath and J-Lab just free reign to do whatever they want here?
No, there'll be taco sauce all over this thing.
4 disco balls and 15 speakers right here. This is a cool ride, right?
Yeah, it is, man. You check that thing out.
Hey, there's so much room.
Before we cut out any of the old suspension, I asked John and Will to take out the interior so we don't have any fires.
There we go.
All right, you take that. I'll go put these in a bag.
You can never have enough bags. It's so important to label everything, every little section of the vehicle that you're taking apart. And the reason is, when you go to put it back together, you're always questioning, what did this bolt do? And so the better you label now, the more time you'll save later, and the more professional your job will be.
Man, vehicles came a long way since this was made, huh? First thing we're going to do on this is just rip out all the suspension, motor, trans, rear end, the whole drivetrain. Let's have a bare van body underneath this thing. We'll start fresh.
Cool. This van's got problems, I got solutions. If it's got the leaf springs cut out and the shocks cut off, go ahead and raise it up and this thing should just fall right out. I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the front. Since we're going to be pulling the transmission and the engine together, I'm going to go ahead and pop our transmission linkage, shifter linkage, all that stuff. Take a couple bolts out on the bottom. Things should come out pretty easy. Now I got the big factors out of the way. I can come through here and just tear this thing down completely.
Looks good. We're ready to get going on the suspension on this thing. We want this to sit really low, set this thing on the ground with it. We're going to have to do a notch in the unibody here and build notch plates on this structure. We'll build the notch, we'll get the rear end back in this thing, and we'll start building the 2-link suspension on this. Cool. Make a hole. This old van is a unibody construction. What that means, there's no full frame underneath this. The frame is actually built into the body, which gives it the strength and rigidity. All this is in the way, so we're going to start by cutting all this out, get our cross member in, and then we'll go back to connecting it all back together as one.
So you see the line, how everything lines up with the top of the frame rail. This is exactly how we want it. Perfect line, straight across. It's going to be level with the top of the frame and the bottom of the frame. Once I get this tacked in, I can cut the bottoms of that off to where they're even with the frame. Now that I got the ends cut off, I'm going to go ahead and make all the pieces to box this in. It's all going to be out of flat bar, same size, same thickness. So I'm going to make everything all at one time. I'm just boxing in the C-notch right now. Just all those pieces I cut out on the iron worker, tacking them in, making sure everything's square and true. And just get this all tacked in, weld it up, then I'll be ready to cut out the center.
We're far off now, Ryan.
Huh?
You never heard Romeo and Juliet, huh?
That was before my time.
You know, this old Ford Falcon van came with the straight front axle. We're going to convert it to an independent front suspension. Ryan finished the notch on the rear end. Now he's making space for the new front suspension and the cross member.
So everything's cut out in the cross cross member is marked up in there, but you can see the direction that we're going to take this. So I'm going to piece everything back to this center section. Basically just start off with these pieces, make them connect, get the side pieces in there, tack everything together, weld everything out, and then we can move on to building our steering, control arms, and everything else.
You know, when a vehicle rolls up this nice, creativity to focus on the details. Things you might not even realize, we customize. So when we're done, you wouldn't even imagine it any other way. What's happening?
Hello, how you doing?
Hey man, good. Juan, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You got the little Cobra, huh?
Yes, sir.
But this thing looks fun, a little replica.
It is a little replica.
You know, these cars are super cool. Original Cobras, 7 figures. Even the replicas are 6 figures. Real or fake, it's still a pretty cool car. What do you got under the hood?
Let's go ahead and take a look.
Man, a little Chevy big block, huh?
Yes, sir.
I definitely wasn't expecting that.
A lot of people usually don't expect that when they see it. It's a 454, plus it has a 400 turbo transmission.
Well, I already know this thing has plenty of power.
That's one of the reasons why I'm here. I need something for protection, something for safety.
It's got that much power?
It feels that way to me.
I can definitely see a roll bar back here. You know, that's one thing it's definitely lacking. And for looks and for safety.
I like it.
I think to really get the feel of it, to really see what you need, I might need to drive this myself and kind of see how it feels, you know what I mean?
Hop on it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You know, when you're building safety equipment, see what the car feels like.
Sure that when I came in, Bill already knew what I was really looking for. Any excuse to get it out on the open road, hey, it's fine by me.
This thing rides good, handles good, looks good. But I definitely see what you mean. You know, at times it feels kind of squirrely and unsafe for sure. Just because it has so much power. I appreciate you letting me drive this thing, really getting a feel for it. It actually does help with the concept of the styling of the car.
Yeah, that's the only way, true way to get an understanding and seeing the need for it.
For sure.
Or maybe, yeah, it does need it. That was something, wasn't it?
This thing's fun to drive for sure. We'll take care of it for you, man.
I appreciate it.
Let's go do some paperwork.
Thanks, sir.
You know, when you think roll bar, it's just a straight bar with 2 bends and comes down in protection. When you're designing a roll bar for such an iconic sports car, that's a totally different subject. That not only safety in mind, but something that's totally stylish, and with every angle you look at it, you want the design of the roll bar to flow with the rest of the car.
Oh, here it is. It's not bad, not bad. What are we gonna do to it?
We're gonna body drop it.
Come on.
No, man. I mean, you see, this thing's missing something.
Miss the roll bar.
You know, this has a big block Chevy in it, runs super good. If he's not paying attention, he's gonna need some extra protection for this thing, for sure.
Definitely. That's a good idea.
You've seen the ones with the loop back here, the big bar in the back. We don't want that. We want something that has clean lines with it, something that emulates the front curvature of the glass. So when you're behind this thing, it just matches perfect. And not only from the rear angle or the front angle, from the side too. We want to slope this thing so it all flows together. Once we get it all done, we're going to chrome it too, so it matches front and rear bumpers.
So I understand the idea you want to do. How are we going to anchor this down to the frame?
Man, we're just going to put some plates here and bolt it to the fiberglass so it looks cool.
I know better than that.
No. You know, I haven't taken all this apart to really see how to tie it in yet. You know, that's what we need to do next. Strip it out and strip the trunk for a solid foundation.
Okay.
Everything we're going to do is get to it.
Yeah, let's do it. It's kind of crazy. That's what holds the seatbelt on. All right, last piece. All I got left to do is pull this carpet, this padding behind it. Then we'll kind of be ready to start figure out how we're going to put the roll bar in here safe, and then we'll worry about how we're going to style it.
Oh, got it, huh?
Yeah,
how you do that? Man, they're just nothing to tie anything to.
No.
Not only are we going to have to create the roll bar itself, we got to create the structure underneath to hold all this together. So it's going to be a little more complicated than I thought. You can't mount anything to just fiberglass. You got to have a backing support. Perfect. Going to the frame to really make everything super strong and super safe.
All right, man. It's in there.
Then we got our foundation. This is going to be, you know, like the cherry on top of this whole car. Let's get this cut. This will make it or break it. Didn't want to put a roll bar way back here in the back. In my opinion, it looks a total afterthought.
That looks better already.
Right? I want lean and flowing, so we had to cut the corner of the body out. It's a real subtle difference. I mean, that's what you want. When this thing is done and finished and painted, you will never know it was ever messed with because the lines are still going to flow and look like it was originally made like that. We're going to roll this pipe so everything has the same flow. So the same arc for the roll bar as it does for the windshield. So we want something that all plays together. Cool. See, we got our line and our square little box here. So we have 48 inches from here to here, and that's the widest point of the car. So we have to bend this so it fits in this box. Then we know when we take it over to that car, it's gonna fit. This might be a replica of a 1966 Cobra, but it's got a real deal 454 Chevy Big Block. So the roll bar we're making, it has to protect the passengers above all, while also looking like the Cobra should have from the factory. It's got a pretty damn good flow. Maybe a quarter measure all day long, but especially something like this, it's pretty damn close. Everybody's going to be looking at it. They're not going to be measuring it.
Did you ever get in trouble for standing on the couch?
You really want to check every angle. Say that real quick, Jim. You want to really get back and get a feel for the overall car itself in relation to what you're building to it. That looks real good.
I like it. It looks nice.
Let's tack this sucker on. The next step of this thing to making it one whole unit is connecting the outer plate to the inner plate and making that plate go all the way down to the frame. We have our plates on the frame, so the next thing is making the pipe from plate to plate. So we're going to put the wheel on, drop it down. Let's see where this thing rides at and how much room we have in between the wheel and the bracket. We definitely don't want the tire to rub. That would definitely cause a blowout, and we don't want to test out a roll cage that quickly. Factory engine on a 1965 Ford Falcon only had 85 horsepower. On the plus side, it was fairly compact horsepower. That thing's cool. A little four-cylinder, huh?
Four-cylinder, 2.3 liter twin scroll turbo, 300 plus horsepower.
Man, that is bad.
They're putting these things in the Mustangs, Ford F-150s. Guys at the track are killing it with them.
That's the perfect combination for this little project.
It is.
Watch your ankles. This thing's light enough where we can just manhandle it up in there from the bottom. Scoot it this way a little bit.
Which way? Forward?
I think you might have to get the lube out, buddy.
It's close or what? Yeah.
How's it looking back there?
That's all I got. I'm touching the floor back here.
Okay, forward.
This side, there you go, right there. Good.
Fits in there good. Got to make the doghouse a little wider. I don't know if we need to make it taller or anything. Let's get the rack on this thing and make sure all this is going to work. And then the fun part, the steering. That's looking real good. Got the radiator in, rack mounted.
Looking all right. You see what I'm looking at, though?
Yeah, you know the next thing is coming. And you got the column out here. The wheels are way out here. It's super easy to connect the rack to the steering.
Yeah.
But on this, we're going to have to connect the column all the way back here to the rack.
It might not seem that hard, but out of all the ones that I've done over the years, I've never had to deal with this.
Yeah. Anytime you see it when it's done, you go, oh, that's easy.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's figuring it out and getting it to that point.
Exactly.
Always like a challenge.
Yeah, of course.
Let's drop it down.
All right.
What we're doing right now is just putting the column in its place. So everything needs to be mocked up. You know where everything's at before you can start anything. This is just where the factory alignment was. We put it back in the original spot. So next thing is to lift this thing up and start making the snake. You see how much room we have here is not very much at all. So we got the column as far into the van as possible, but it's still a little too long. Let's cut the end of that column off. All right. And then we're going to drill a hole in it all the way through. All right. We're going to cut you a little piece of the double D. So we'll use this little knuckle here. But we can start with this once it's at the bottom of the column. Ain't gonna work. I've never used a double knuckle like that before, and man, it's just lining up.
I haven't either.
The main thing you look for when you're figuring out a steering shaft is make sure all the U-joints aren't in a bind. You want it to be smooth, free, and clear. And double knuckle is too many moving parts all at once. There's no stabilization in something like that, so it's just gonna flop all around. So it's one frustration after another, right?
Oh, man, you said it.
Because we changed the 1965 Ford Falcon van to independent front suspension, we knew getting the steering configuration was going to be a lot of trial and error.
What's up, fellas? Look what I got here.
Buddy? Oh,
Fresh out the box.
That's what we need. A 90-degree small gearbox. Hopefully, when we turn left, it goes left. When we turn right, it goes right.
if your calculations are correct.
We'll see once we get all this in.
Cool.
That's how I deliver.
Appreciate it, Tom.
See ya.
It's going to make life a lot easier.
Let's pull the column back. Let's get this in place and slip.
As far as I can go up without taking everything apart.
Up towards the bump. Not quite that far. All right, that's it. Hold it right there just a second. Cool, let's make the bracket for this and just continue the snake.
I'm making a bracket for this steering box to hold it exactly where we want it. Just take a couple pieces of cardboard, make your template, get exactly how you want it, and then boom, go over there and make it in no time.
Yeah. Turn to the right. That's exactly what we needed. Problem solved, man.
I love hearing those words.
Man, it works good.
Awesome.
You know, I was super nervous about how we're going to get this to here. Never done that before. It looks simple now, you know, once it's done, but ingenuity behind it, there's a little bit of figuring. Button it up, let's get it to the body shop.
Cool.
The roll bar is getting chromed on the 1966 Cobra replica. However, there's one thing still bothering me. There's just a hole drilled in. I mean, I don't get it. I can't believe somebody thought that's a good idea and that would be safe. We have to address this. We're going to come up with a way to make a little bracket to tie it into the frame. And that way, this thing is safe and secure, and it's a total, complete, safe package.
Be really comfortable putting a seatbelt on that now.
It's not just the seat belts, the seats are also bolted to the fiberglass. So we're gonna fix that too with some new brackets.
All right, everything looks good. It's all welded in. Should be nice and safe now.
We're gonna push this thing in for a quick body and paint. And then we're gonna install the freshly chrome roll bar.
I'll hand it to you over the car.
Don't scratch nothing.
Jamie. We got this build as cool as we can make it. It not only looks better, but what's really important, this thing is a lot safer than when it pulled up. That's how I'd want it for my family, for sure. What's up, man?
Good morning, Mr. Bill. How you doing?
Good morning, man. Real good. You ready?
I'm ready as I'm going to be.
I know when you came in, you know, you had a couple issues with that car. The car looked cool, but there was nothing to keep you safe in that thing. We got you definitely hooked up on this.
That's the reason why I came here.
You ready to check it out?
I'm ready.
Jamie, let's get it.
Ooh, look at that. Man, that's exactly what I was looking for. Classy, elegant, and unique. Seeing the car for the first time, it was like, wow, it's Christmas for me again. Woo-wee. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So you're liking it?
I'm liking it.
Safety was your major concern on this. We addressed that for sure. Built something not only safe for you, but stylish. Rolled some pipe, made it the same contour as the windshield and also the same angle as the windshield. We actually notched out the corners of the body itself to give the roll bar a little more room in between the seat and the body. So everything just flows together.
I didn't even notice until you mentioned it. I mean, it looks like it was that way already.
Right. You know, it's tough to come up with something new on such an iconic car, but as you can see, it's exactly what he wanted. It's all super strong and tied to the frame. You know, while we're underneath the car, we definitely noticed a lot of safety issues underneath this thing.
Blew my mind when I seen this. The seat belts were just drilled through the fiberglass body, just holding in with an anchor and a washer, and that was it.
Man, we couldn't let you roll out like that. You know, all this hard work would have been for nothing if you would have just been ejected out of the car if something would have happened.
You're right about that. I mean, it would have been with this kind of heat, be like scrambled eggs on the sidewalk.
So we went ahead and reinforced it with metal, made everything strong, tied to the frame. Now it's really safe.
That's why I knew that I had to come here. If you would have seen something that was not going to be done right, you're going to handle it and do it right. Safety was my big concern. Now, I can definitely say I feel safe now.
You know, you wouldn't think just a roll bar would give you a different attitude about something. In this case, it definitely does. You feel safer, more confident, and it looks good.
I just want to say thank you to Bill and all his men here at Extensive. They did a phenomenal job. They went ahead and they put a bolt right here, so that way the belt is actually on the frame.
Nice.
Every time I got in the car, I used to be nervous. You don't want to sit on the other side with me? Now I really feel safe. That too. I got the wind in my hair.
We gave the Falcon van a custom air ride, a new steering configuration, and an engine swap. Now the body guys are going to prep the cab for paint. What I don't want it to look like is some 70s peace van, you know, with fluorescent colors or something like that. I did kind of like that. I wanted my first truck kind of that color. It's just fitting to have, you know, the kids have their say-so in the color of the whole truck. I picked a couple of colors because I don't want this van looking cheesy. You don't want a loud, fluorescent, off-the-wall color that next year is going to get old on you. This is a family heirloom. It's going to be passed down to them. So if they pick the wrong color, they're stuck with it no matter what. They picked it. You know, a huge part of the custom world is dads handing down their passion for cars to their kids. That's how we keep this whole thing going. So we just love how Scott's getting it. What's happening?
Hi, Bill. Nice to see you.
I got Heath here. Hi, guys.
Hi, Heath.
You guys ready to pick some colors? He's so shy.
Ready? This is the brown.
No, I don't like the brown.
Okay. There's a green. The green looks cool.
I like the green. Let's see what's next.
Got like a tan, like a goldish tan.
Oh, man.
All right, there we go. All three of them at once.
So vote for my favorite one.
I like green.
Green's your favorite, Cole? What's your favorite?
My favorite is tan.
Your favorite's tan.
All right, Scott.
you're the tiebreaker.
Maybe we could do 3 layers. So I think it's going to be green.
Green it is. You got it. It's a great choice.
All right, guys. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Hey, it was nice to meet y'all.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Bye.
Green it is. You know, all honesty, that was the color I was hoping they picked. This green is really going to make the whole thing stand out. With so much space in this van, the sky's the limit. And that's what I asked John to do.
This thing is as big as the sky, so we're going to do a starlight headliner on it. I'm going to start when I go to put in the fiber optic lights. I'm actually going to be using a needle to poke holes in this, so I need something that's thin enough and easy enough to get through, but yet still strong enough to help hold the form and shape. Hey, look at that. It stayed together. Now that we got the headliner all built, wrapped, and ready to go, the next thing we got to do is we got to install the fiber optic lighting. To do that, I'm going to have to take these fiber optic strands here and I have to poke individual holes for every one of them. We've got 780 of them here. I better get started. I want to try to get this thing done before the real stars come out. There's really no easy way to go about this. It's just going to be time consuming and just got to sit here and do it. You know, it's just going to matter of poking all these holes and running everything through. But the final product will be so worth it. I think it's really going to have that wow factor.
Rather than using the old windows on that fresh paint, Chad's going to make some new ones by hand.
Okay, what we're doing here is they don't produce a lot of these windows, and it's hard to find one that's in a good shape with no scratches, so we have to make our own. This glass here is actually laminate glass. It's 2 pieces of glass with a piece of lamination, cracks it, it doesn't shatter. And what I'm doing now is I'm scoring the glass to get through the first layer. Well, the glass is really a delicate material, so what I have to do is I have to get in here and I have to break it through. Now what we're doing is we're taking some denatured alcohol and we're softening up the lamination in the center so I can cut through it and get a better finish. There we go. It's time to put it in and see what it looks like. Well, what I'm doing is I'm setting it inside the lip here, and then I gotta tuck the rope on the inside so I can tuck the lip around the pin flow. And we're locking the gasket in. And what I'm looking for is making sure there's no imperfections, and the gasket is tucked nice against the vehicle. It's looking good, so it's time to move on to the next one.
After 4 long days of dealing with this and poking all these holes, finally have them all in. As you can see, there's a ton of fiber optics here. What this is basically, it is cast down through the fiber optics, and anywhere that you cut it off at, as you can see, the ends of it will light up. I'm only got to do this 780 times. About halfway there. 780. All right, let's see what this thing looks like. It's looking stellar, you could say. Kids should love it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be like camping out at night. Yeah, just riding along, looking at the stars. All we got left to do now is get this thing installed in the van and get all the trim work in around it.
You know, it's pretty cool. I think back of all the days growing up with my dad, working with my dad. He loved welding and fabricating, you know, and taught me that skill set. And I applied that to the car aspect.
Totally opposite.
Totally opposite for you. Your dad
was everything into it, but not a welder, fabricator, nothing like that.
Me and him are a lot alike. My dad's all in the cars. I would have rather been in the shop with my dad getting dirty rather than sitting at home on the couch.
you know, they inspired us and footprint on our children.
Mm-hmm. Dude, my kid's 4 next month, and he's really taking a liking to all this stuff. It'll be really cool, you know, to see him kind of follow my footsteps.
That's it. Keep it going. Keep it going, man. The most important part is showing your kids your passion for something.
Yeah, it just gives them a little want to, you know what I mean? You gotta have that want to. If you don't care to do anything, you're never gonna be good at anything.
Thanks, Dad. You know, the Starry Night headliner is definitely one-of-a-kind touch, and it just adds all the customization that we've already done to that 65 Ford Falcon van.
That's pretty crooked board. When I finished up the Starlight headliner in the van, I thought I was done poking holes, but as I sat there, I thought about the way we can incorporate the starlights into the seats as well. I think I'm hating myself already for coming up with another one of these ideas and these fiber optics, but it'll be worth it in the end. Got this Peruvian walnut all carved out and ready to go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a hand router and create the pocket inside of it. You know, with this thing being handmade, it really looks like it belongs in a 1965 Ford Falcon van. You know, back then, there were still a lot of the cars that were handmade. Now I have to drill 200 holes to run my fiber optics through. I was talking about how I thought I'd learned my lesson on the first go-around with these things, but no. Just going to trim these back. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really cool effect having them in the seats. Kind of seamless all the way from the ceiling into the seats. That's something I've never seen before. So next thing I got to do is pour the epoxy. I want it to match the seats. So I got some dye mixed up to match the leather in the van. I'm going to take my epoxy and get it mixed up. We'll get the color in it, and we'll pour this in there and let it dry. The trick here is to make sure to not overfill it, so just kind of evenly distributing it. You definitely don't want it running out all over the place, so. All right, now that I got the seats all covered and everything, the next thing I got to do is just get the nerve up and cut this thing open. Oh, it's a sickening feeling. It'll so be worth it. Just got to remember that. It'll be worth it. So once I get this all glued in here, then we'll get the emblem in it.
Man, this looks good, dude.
Yeah, man, I think it turned out real nice.
And they're gonna love it, dude.
Well worth it, you know. I can't wait to get it to the kids and let them see this thing.
God and his family have been waiting a long time for this van, and I know they're ready to get it back. Scott's a really busy guy running his construction company up in Chicago, so we're going to ship this van straight up to him. Since this is a family van, I thought I'd ask my kids just to get their take on it, see if it's cool. You guys ready to go home?
Yeah.
Yeah. Been working hard today?
Yeah.
Hey, before we go, I want you to check out something. We just built a van for a customer in Chicago. We got to ship this thing back. But before we do, I want your guys' opinion on this, see how good we did.
Okay, let's go check it out.
You want to see it? Yeah, let's go do it. Come on. Come on. So I want your guys' honest opinion, okay?
Okay.
Not just because I'm your dad. I want you to really tell me what you think, okay? Yes, sir.
We've seen a lot of like what our dad does around here. He just never really asks for our opinions.
This must be like a pretty special one. John's bringing this thing out right now. It's going to be here any second. You know, the moment of truth, I hope they like this.
That's really cool.
The green makes it so good. You know, when this van came in, it was in decent shape, but it wasn't in this good a shape. We had to rip out all the old suspension, and we put brand new air suspension on this thing. With rack and pinion steering, it drives like a modern car should. The way it sits like really, really, really low to the ground, so cool, right? Yeah. It gives a new little attitude. You know, we spent a lot of time on the suspension and steering on this van, but you know, the kids would never know that. That's all they want to see is just this thing go down the ground and get really low. And the old engine just wasn't cutting it either, so we got a brand new 4-cylinder turbocharged in this thing.
That's cool.
That's why you hear that nice little blow-off valve when it comes up. It goes, it's got plenty power. Of
graphics, big wheels, freshened up all the paint, and all new chrome.
And I really like the color. I think it makes the van pretty unique.
His kids picked that color out.
They have good taste.
Yeah.
You know, I spent a lot of time on this interior thinking about my kids, his kids, me personally. I love it, but I can't wait to see what you guys think about it. You want to check it out?
Yeah.
Check this out.
That is very.
I like the lights.
The stars make that so nice.
John's got a lot of time in this thing.
I spent at least a week poking holes and running lights. By the end of it, I was done with it.
Right.
It looks worth it.
It was well worth it.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with it.
That being in this van made it 10 times cooler.
That's stuff we don't see every day in a van.
You guys get in there and check it out.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
They're really comfortable.
Right?
Very.
Yeah. I love how many windows there are.
The lights look better up close too.
You know, you guys are so busy looking up there, you didn't even notice there's no TVs and no screens anywhere in here, right? The whole point of this is family time.
Yeah.
Just being focused on family and the trip and spending time together and not on your phones or, you know, watching a video.
I think these guys' kids are definitely gonna enjoy having lots of fun adventures and trips in this van.
I'm already jealous that they get to take a ride in that.
This is my favorite car that you have built.
Really? I guess we did pretty good, John.
That's why you gotta make us one.
John did most of the work.
I got my kids' seal of approval, so I know Scott's kids are definitely going to love this van. You know, look in the overall van, the interior. Man, I love this little van. And Scott, I can't wait for you to take your family on the road and really hear about those trips you're going to take together. If you're ever road tripping through